Hey, Kettlebell Swing Challenge crew, Kyle here. I just want to take a few moments here to kind of cover some things with the swings. I know we've already started with stuff and we never specifically talked about the swings themselves. So it is a swing challenge and you can really do any type of swing you want. Obviously, there's some swings that I would recommend that you use for this. Otherwise, you run the risk of knee pain, lower back pain, things like that. So I want to just kind of go over what I always call the proper swing. Again, it's hard to really say that there's a bad swing. Most people, if you don't know much about swinging, most people tend to do what's called a squat swing, where you're just kind of using this knee bend, stand up thing here. You're really not generating any force from the hips. You're literally just standing up and you're using a lot more shoulders and stuff to get that movement, which is okay. It's a swing. Tends to be really hard on your lower back, shoulders, and knees. So I would encourage you to work on a proper swing, or they'll call it a hip hinge swing. There's other names for it, but the movement is going to mimic more of a deadlift type movement, in the sense that your hips are going backwards and you're doing more of a bowing type movement rather than a knee bending. So a proper swing, you're actually not doing a whole lot of knee bending, which is really good for those of you that are having knee problems like myself and stuff, and bending and straightening those knees over and over is not fun. So if you think more of a hip hinge, so rather than going down with the weight, go ahead and let the kettlebell follow its course, and you're gonna use that momentum and you're gonna catch it in your high thigh. It's like literally as high up into your thigh as you can get. I mean, they'll say like your wrist to zipper. The more you can get your wrists into your zipper, the higher you catch that, the easier it's gonna be. The other problem is when people do that low swing, they'll tend to like swing below their knees right here. And once you're doing that, you're not catching with your hips anymore, you're actually catching with your lower back. So if you can think high thigh with the catch, literally your wrists should be hitting the insides of your thighs as high as you can get. That'll make sure that your hips and your glutes and hamstrings are doing the catching, and not your lower back and not your knees. So focus on high thigh. I did have a number of you ask and say that you were getting dizzy and stuff like that with the constant up and down movement. What I would recommend is, rather than constantly letting your eyes follow up and down, set a fixed point ahead of you so that you're constantly looking forward the whole time, and just push the hips back from there. So as you swing your weight, got my kettlebell here, boom, I'm here, get that snap back. I'm constantly looking at the direction I'm going. So I'm not moving my eyes all around. I'm actually fixed on one point ahead of me, and I'm just moving my hips back and snapping them from that point, still staying focused. That'll help with the visualization of stuff, so you're not getting dizzy, things like that. But anyways, those were some quick pointers. If you got other questions about stuff, definitely let me know. I'm trying to make these short so people's attention span can get into them, but think high thigh, wrist to zipper, and catching you with the hips. So you should be finishing on that back swing with the real hips backward, and then snap upward. I'm snapping my hips up. I'm not snapping them back this way. So a big snap in the hips. Try to get about shoulder level. Doesn't need to go any higher than that. So, there is an American swing, which is real popular in the CrossFit thing, where they're swinging all the way up here. I don't recommend doing that, but again, it's your challenge. Do whatever swings you want. But I would work with the proper swing, hips back, and snap the hips upward, and that should be a chain reaction to snap the hands up. Again, your grip is going to really be challenged with this, depending on how big your paws are. Get a lighter kettlebell here, but you might notice that you have problems getting both hands in there. I would recommend using just 2 fingers and a thumb to hang on, and if you're starting to rub, you could actually change which fingers you're hanging with. So you can start, middle finger, index finger here on the corners. You can switch to middle finger and ring finger and kind of smash those index fingers together, just to make room for your hands. Again, different kettlebells are gonna have different sizes. The classic kettlebells tend to have a little bigger handle. If you get to something like a competition bell, competition bells tend to be a little bit smaller with the handles. So you might have to come up with that technique with that. But again, I'll try to keep this short. Again, let me know if you have any questions on stuff. But we should be at least past day 2 with the swings, 2 of 20. So you got about 18 more to go, but you can start anytime. Again, the challenge is to get 10,000 swings, ideally within 5 weeks, but if that ends up being 6, 7, do what you got to do. Be safe with it. Start with the lightweight, work your way up, and we'll go from there.